Friends, we are here at the Buckhead Club in Atlanta, Georgia, where India Disrupting FinTech is a topic presented and organized by the Consulate General of India in association with the World Affairs Council of Atlanta. I am here with Mr. Sharat Sharma, who is one of the keynote speakers of this event today evening. He has over two decades of experience in internet, enterprise software and infrastructure markets. He is also the co-founder of ISpirit, a think tank focused on building the software product ecosystem in India. He is a prominent voice in India's entrepreneurial ecosystem. So let's go ahead and talk to Mr. Sharat Sharma a little bit about India disrupting FinTech. Give us a little bit about what we're going to hear tonight and what the topic is related to.
Yeah, so in India, India is a place when you go there physically, you see urban kind of sprawl, you see intermittent electricity, and you see all this physical infrastructure that's kind of not up to the mark. But quietly over the last 8 years, India has built up a digital infrastructure that is getting attention everywhere else in the world. So that's really what I'm going to talk about. And much of that digital infrastructure is called India Stack, and that comes from the tech world where you have a communication stack. So it's a set of building blocks. It includes a new payment system that was launched last year. It's called UPI, which is doing very well. It includes identity, which is Aadhaar. It includes a new way of managing data and a bunch of stuff like that. And the implications of this are that this is bringing financial inclusion at scale in India. So there are about 100 million families, who are unable to get formal credit. And as they are able to get formal credit using these new systems that are coming in, that will drive not only a credit cycle, but it will also drive a wage and a job cycle. And so it has implications at the country scale about what's going to happen in the future.
As under the new presidency, the new Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, he's making efforts to getting India more digitalized. Do you see India going or taking leaps in the coming near future?
Yeah, so it is already happening, and which is why I start my presentation with a slide where Raoul Pal, a very famous hedge fund manager here in the US, says that this stack that we are talking about is more important to India than the railroad was to UK in the 19th century, or the interstate highway system was to the US in the 20th century. So that's the impact that it's going to create. Now what will happen as a result of this is that there will be enormous formalization of the business. And up till now, formalization meant that you would have all kind of inconveniences. Dealing with a formal entity was painful. But if you dealt with an informal entity, let's say a money lender, then you paid through your nose. And now these new systems are able to combine the benefits of both. They bring the convenience of the informal system, but also the protections and the disciplines of the formal system. And this is the big thing, because over time, over the next 5-10 years, this will accumulate and change the fate of hundreds of millions of families as we go forward. So it will make a difference.
And in India, we know that typically most of the middle class people, they usually when they go out for shopping to the markets, it goes more on cash, or the local market where you buy groceries from, it goes on cash. But now we also see credit cards being used by those local market people.
Yeah, so India has so payments is going to change in a big way, and it's already changing. And but the Indian payment system, which is a new payment system that has come last year, it's called UPI. Many people know it as Bheem. There's an app that is popular, although you can use many apps. Is a generation ahead of the credit and the debit card. So it does not rely on plastic. It's post-plastic generation. And already, the general consensus is that there'll be 5 payment systems in the world. There will be, of course, Visa and MasterCard. There'll be in China, Alipay and WeChat Pay, and then there'll be UPI. And so that payment system is going to change the behavior of people. But remember, payment is something which is linked with the merchant asking you for digital payments. So the real question is, why would a street vendor say, pay me digital cash instead of paying me physical cash? And the reason is because that street vendor will get what is called as flow-based credit if he is able to show what his income was during the month. And so the behavior change is going to be slow and gradual in the early years because it's going to come from the merchant shaping the behavior of the consumer rather than the consumer, preferring to pay one way or the other.
And I had this question from my end.
Yeah.
The verge of the Liticon and the Bidicon, which is being heard as would be the future currency of trading. Do you think will that happen?
Yeah, I am not yet a believer of the currency part, but remember the currency is based on a technology called blockchain. Blockchain is going to be definitely important. And the way to think of this is that in the early days of internet, we often talked about email as internet, right? Because that was one of the applications of internet. But internet was a lot bigger than email. And I think the same way, blockchain is the big thing. The cryptocurrencies are one of those things which may have, some value. I don't think they're material in a place like India yet. But blockchain is something that we should all watch out for. It's a important technology that will also find application in places like India.
And one last question, give us a little bit about what ISpirit is all about.
Yeah, ISpirit is, the best way to think of ISpirit is a collection of volunteers operating to build public goods without public money. The experience that we have of this is Wikipedia. It's built by people who are volunteers, who have built it for us, or Linux, an open source software which is built like this. So ISpirit is basically building these kind of country building blocks and giving them away. It doesn't have any commercial interest. It's a completely Wikipedia, Linux kind of a model. And it's inspired by Kaufman Foundation as a think tank and Mozilla Foundation. And it's a synthesis of two. And it's really a way for deep techies to come together and do something for India. And that's kind of now found resonance, and it's making a difference to India. So it's a labor of love, a very patriotic labor of love for people who have a belief that India should go back and rise as a major power in the world once again.